In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the three most fundamental tricks on the pill, which are the pull spike, cap turn, and swing spike. Now, these are all tricks that are borrowed from kendama basics, but because of the design of the pill, you're going to find that they're actually easier to learn. If you don't know what a pill is, go check out our video on what is the pill juggling toy. And that will just a video about what the pill is, the different parts of the pill, what you need to know about buying it, as well as all the different types of tricks that you can do. It's all very important things to learn. So the very first thing I'm going to teach you is how to get the cap onto the spike, which is actually easier than you think. Now, if you look at the hole of a pill compared to the hole of a kendama side by side, you'll notice that they're the same size. But the pill has a large rim around it that's beveled inward that directs the spike of the pill into the hole, as compared to a kendama, which will reject the spike unless you land with perfect accuracy. So to learn the pull spike, the first thing you're going to want to do is take the base in your dominant hand with the spike pointing up and steady the cap down below, letting it hang freely. And you're going to want to bend your knees down. And this is really important, to use your knees to pull up. And you're going to stand up and let the cap come up, bring the base underneath it, and land the spike on it. And to do that, again, use your knees to pull up, and right as the cap gets to about the level of your hand, you're going to move your hand around and underneath the cap, positioning the pill just under the hole so that the cap, when it's on its way down, can land onto the spike. Now, the big problem you might run into with this trick is that sometimes you pull up and the hole isn't pointing down, so you won't be able to land the spike. And there's two reasons that might be happening. The first is that you might be pulling to the side, trying to move your hand too early, and when you do that, you'll find that the string will pull on the cap and cause the hole to turn in all different directions. So to fix that, just delay when you move your hand. Again, wait until the cap is about level with your dominant hand before you start moving to the side. And the second most important reason is the knees, and you're going to find the knees are very important in pill tricks. If you try to use your hand to pull the cap up, you'll find that you can move in all different directions with your hand and your arm, which means that you have not as much control over it as if you use your knees. Using your knees to just bend down and pull up allows you to only move in one direction, that's straight up, which gives you more consistency and control over keeping the cap straight so that the hole is pointed down and you can line up the spike underneath the hole. The second trick we're going to learn is cap turn. And to start this trick, you're going to want to hold the base in your dominant hand with the cap already on the spike. And you'll notice that this trick begins where the last trick we learned ended, which makes them great tricks to put together in combination. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is use your knees. You're going to want to bend them like in the last trick to get upward momentum to get the cap to come off of the spike. So again, you're just going to bend down and then you're going to go up, and you'll see that that will get the cap to come right off. At the same time, you're going to want to flick your wrist towards yourself. And when you do these things together, you'll notice that the cap will rotate 360 degrees and land back on the spike. Now, one thing you'll find is that the harder you flick your wrist, the faster the cap will rotate, and the lighter you flick your wrist, the slower it will rotate. It's a good idea when first learning this trick to lightly flick your wrist and cause the cap to rotate slower, as it makes it easier to track the hole. So as the cap is rotating around, what you want to do is try to find the hole and track where it's at, and then position the spike just underneath it so that the cap can fall onto the spike. There are two tips that will help with this trick. The first is that you want to keep the spike as close to the cap as possible, because if you're trying to aim and you've got the spike really far away from the cap, you'll find that that's a lot harder to do. But if you keep the cap and the spike close to each other, then as the cap rotates around, you'll be able to aim the spike easier and land the cap on the spike more consistently. The second thing is that you want to use your knees to catch the cap. This is especially important as the cap is rotating slowly. You'll want to catch it when the hole's in the right position, when it's facing downward. And so that will be at a different height each time that you do it. So you want to bend your knees and catch it at the right height, again, when the hole's in the correct position, when it's facing downward. You'll also find that once you've ended this trick, you're right back where you started the trick, which makes it a great trick to put into succession a couple of times, as many times really as you can land it. Once you've mastered this trick and you've mastered the pull spike, you can learn the third fundamental trick, which is the swing spike. And this is essentially just a combination of the first two tricks that we've been learning. So to do this, you're going to hold the base in your dominant hand, and you're going to take the cap and hold it in your opposite hand at about the level of your hip, and you're going to let go and let it swing forward. And at the same time that it's swinging forward, you're going to want to bend your knees down, and just like in the pull spike, you're going to use your knees to pull up, and you're going to do that once it reaches its peak of the swing, the very end of the swing. And at the same time that you're doing that, you're going to use your wrist to pull back. So if we do it here, You're gonna drop it, bend down, and pull back with your wrist and up with your knees, and you'll see that that causes the cap to swing out and to rotate upward. And then just the same way that we aimed landing our cap flip, we're gonna land the swing spike by keeping the spike nice and close and letting it fall onto the cap. So when you put all of it together, it looks like that, and that's the swing spike. Once you've mastered these 3 fundamental tricks, you may be surprised to discover that you actually know 6 tricks. And that's because each one of these tricks can be done cap side, that is holding the cap instead of the base. To do cap side pull spike, what you're going to do is hold the cap in your dominant hand, let the base hang down at the bottom, and all the same tips apply. Use your knees to pull up and catch the spike in the cap. It'll take a little adjustment, but you'll find you'll pick it up pretty fast. Now you can do a cap side cap turn, which is actually called a jumping stick or a J stick, but all the same tips from a cap turn apply. The only difference is that you have to throw this one a little bit higher because the spike sticks out and it doubles the turn radius. Now just like before, once you've mastered those 2 tricks, you can combine them together to do a cap side swing spike, which is actually called an airplane. To do that, hold the cap in your dominant hand, the base in your opposite hand, and let it swing forward using your knees and your wrist to rotate it and cause it to land on the spike. You may find that you have to pull or flick your wrist a little harder to complete that rotation, but once you've got it, that's the whole trick. And all of those are your pill fundamentals that you need to know before moving on.